Hello there, everyone. If you're just joining us, we're just doing our sound check. And we're live. I'm going to ask Sarah just to quickly say something so we can be 100% sure that we're here. Sarah.
Hi, everybody.
Let's see what happens here. Ooh, Sarah's a little frozen. What's happening? There we go.
Oh, no, I'm frozen.
Be 100%
No,
sure
you're good.
we're
It was me.
Okay.
here, Sarah.
Hi, everybody.
Yes. All right. We have sound and we are here. So hello everyone and welcome to the Savvy Business Show. I am so excited for our guest today, Sarah Webb, who is the president of PlayedForWomen.com, and she is also herself a CPA, not a CFA, but a CPA, and she is passionate about helping women to build profitable businesses and get themselves out of debt. So Sarah, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So we're going to just dive right into it. For people who are brand new to business or accounting terminology, cash flow. Talk to us about cash flow. What is it? Why is it important? We want to know.
Okay, well, cash flow to me is the number one reason that businesses fail. So kind of not starting on a negative note, but cash flow is not just our income statement and things that we have on our balance sheet, but it's actually cash that we have in the bank or under our mattress that we can use to make operations go. And I was going to be an accountant since like a baby. So when I was a small girl, my father talked to me a lot about investing and money, and so I had a very quick lesson in cash flow. And so this is when you could look up stocks each day in the newspaper, and I had this idea like I'd want to buy a Disney stock. And so he would take my money, he'd take my $25, and he would invest it with his broker. And then in a few weeks later, I'd be monitoring the stocks that either made money or it didn't. And when I needed money, I would try to go and cash out my stocks that he was holding for me. And we would talk about the fees and the loss maybe in that short time period. And so that was really kind of the basis of my financial education at home. And his motto was that cash is always king because it gives you the flexibility to make decisions. So you don't have a bank telling you you need to pay interest or you have all these commitments. You're able to really monitor what you want to do with the money. You're in control and you're the decision maker. So maybe we should say cash is queen instead of cash is king.
Yes, right? Which is exactly what we decided to call today's episode. Cash is queen, right? And so we actually have something really in common here, Sarah, in the fact that, so my dad was also an accountant, and he was always on about cash flow. And I remember so he worked in on these big farms, exporting farms in South Africa. And he would always say, the one thing that he was always on about with the owners who didn't always get this was like, we have to have a very healthy cash flow. And I think specifically in businesses, let's call farms, they tend to have a lot of cash when it's harvesting season, right? And then the rest of the year there might not be as much cash, so you really want to monitor that. And I think a lot of us as business owners can sometimes feel like this. We may work on projects where we get large sums of money in a month, and then maybe there's a couple of months that are not as busy, right? So what would your advice be? How do we manage that? How do we help our businesses to build a healthy cash flow?
Yeah, I think one of the first things that you have to do, kind of no matter where you are in business, if you're earlier on, it's definitely harder. But if you have a few years of history, it's easier to kind of see what that monthly number is. But for people starting out in business, I think calculating backwards. So what is the absolute minimum you have to pay yourself? And I'm not talking a lavish lifestyle. I'm talking about keeping your electricity on, feeding your family, like the basics, not shopping, anything like that. But what do you have to pay yourself and then pay the minimum to keep the business running? So are you paying for, maybe email servers or, just like simple things, but making a list of all of those things to know what your monthly, call it your monthly nut. Like what is that actual smallest amount? And then either setting up a system so that you're getting paid that monthly, either kind of working through your products. So maybe you're not a farmer and you have this big harvest, but maybe you're able to streamline getting a monthly income. Or if you do have a big, windfall or, big sales month, not spending all of that in 1 month and knowing, okay, that's actually going to cover me for 2 to 3 months. But I think first looking at, like, what is your minimum number to exist? Not the frilly things, and kind of knowing what that number is and backing into how much sales that you're going to need that month, and likewise.
Exactly. And I have to say that's so important to also audit every couple of months, specifically if you're in the online. Well, I think this actually goes for brick and mortars. It goes for all of us. You want to really audit your systems and make sure that you're using everything that you have bought or that you're paying for subscription-wise or anything like that. Because I think sometimes we can have high expenses that may not necessarily be necessary. And so you constantly want to make sure that you're checking those things out too, because that can also help you to save up some of your very hard-earned cash.
Yeah. And I have to do that for my personal things as well. I mean, taking your credit card and getting a monthly subscription for something is so easy, or paying for 2 to 3 users and only one person's actually using it, I think is an easy audit. And I would also say, what are some things that maybe you're outsourcing that you could do in-house? So do you actually need, not necessarily people, but maybe you have a design team on standby or retainer, or look at some of those other recurring expenses that maybe you're not, either you need to utilize them because you're paying for them, or cut them out of your budget.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, okay, so now we got that, like, what's my minimum that I absolutely need to have? So how would you go about in actually saving up the cash to definitely be able to pay your minimum? I know a lot of people say, like, have 6 months worth of reserved cash in your business. So how would you go about in slowly building that up?
Yeah, I would look at what that goal number is. Let's say it's $50,000, because I like easy math.
Yes.
And you want to do it over 10 months. Okay, well then you're going to need to come up with $5,000 per month. So I don't think you can have this goal of saving 6 months of expenses in 3 months, right? I mean, that's not going to work. So come up with a realistic plan, whether it's a year or even 18 months, because that is a very, very big number. I think for solopreneurs, you kind of need to balance, do you need 6 months of saving in your business and in your personal life, or is potentially that all one bucket? Mm-hmm. And that's based on your individual risk profile. My husband and I are both entrepreneurs, so we like to have a little bit more cash because everything's unsteady. But maybe if you have a partner that has a regular paycheck, your personal savings may not have to be as high because you have that dependability. I think just looking for ways of what's a realistic time frame and what can you commit to every single month. And putting it, the thing that helps me the most is putting it on automatic. So, whether it's $100 a week or, something, $1,000 a month, or whatever your goal is, just having it withdrawn from the bank so that you don't have to think about it and it's happening regardless.
And I think something that you said there was just all of it was valuable, but I think we often go into this trap of, like, somewhere someone said it needs to be 6 months worth of cash, and then how the heck am I going to get there? But we have to remember that all of us are very different, and our portfolios look very different. Like you just mentioned, you and your husband are entrepreneurs. So is me and my husband. So our things are going to look different, and even to each other, our things are going to look different depending on our businesses. To someone who has a spouse who is in a 9-to-5, not that those exist anymore, but is in a permanent job, let's call it that instead. And so you always want to look at that. Now, when it comes to financial business decisions, let me dig in here a little bit on that. Who do you normally, when someone's making business decisions, who do you advise them to have in their little sphere that helps them with the business decisions?
Yeah, I think an accountant can be that person because they're very objective if they're not part of your business. I'm not an objective person in my business, so I can't do that for myself. But I think someone that can really just look at the numbers and sometimes kind of play that third party. I would also say, another business person, maybe not in the same field, and not necessarily a competitor, but maybe if you're part of a mastermind or some kind of group where you help each other and you support each other and you can be vulnerable, because money is very, very vulnerable. But to be able to say, okay, this is what I'm thinking, here's my plan, and then having someone hold you accountable against that profit plan. And I talked about my husband. We said at the beginning of the year, we each sit on different ends of the dining room table and we kind of map out what the year is going to look like for each of our businesses so that we can kind of say, okay, this is our family plan for the year, or, we want to go on a fabulous vacation, or no, we're going to skip that this year, depending on what our individual business plans are.
I love that. I love that. So I'm a little bit the same as well. I am a huge, huge fan of masterminds. If anybody knows me already, you know that I have my Savvy Business Masterminds. And what I kind of want to highlight is because I often hear from women that they won't invest in their businesses because they have to go talk to their husbands first. And although I love that you're a team in your family, I think it's very important for you to draw the line between your business finances and the family's personal finances. What's your take on that opinion that I have? That's just my opinion.
Yeah. So I feel very strongly about it. And a group that I follow, someone's recently said, hey, I'm going to take a few weeks off. My husband wants me to take a few weeks off. And I was just appalled. I was just like, I don't know if you want to take a few weeks off, or if you want to do something in your business, I think that's great. And husbands are definitely, most of the time, our biggest cheerleaders and biggest supporters, and they pick us up off the floor when we're crying and all of those things. But when we're talking about the finances in our business, I think we should really look at them as, you're coming to them maybe as a plan, as a partner in a marriage, and say, this is what I'm going to do. What do you think about it? Help me poke holes in it because you know me and you're my partner in life, but I'm not going to ask permission to do something. I guess it's different. Like, have them, I think we always consult our spouses and, big decisions and big changes in business. That's just natural. They would do the same whether they're entrepreneurs or they have a job. My spouse would talk to me if he was changing jobs. It's at that level, yes, have the discussion, but you're not asking permission,
Oh, I love that distinction that you just made there about you're not asking permission, because I think also if we think about just this whole, us as women needing to step up to the plate and lean in more, part of what a man would never do is ask you permission to do something. They will obviously, as a family unit, we discuss and we get opinions and we ask each other for support and, like you said, to really just bulletproof this idea. But at the end of the day, I think it's very important for you as a female business owner, specifically because I see this with my female business owners, to be your own advocate. Don't let other people's opinions sway you. And then have someone who's independent from you and the family that you, like Sarah just said, that can help you objectively with this decision. Because the fact of the matter is, our husbands, we love them, but they also have an agenda, right? And they are a little too close to it to really maybe often see the bigger picture. So, yeah.
It's the same as, I'm an adult woman. I don't know if I'd go ask my mother for permission to do something like, should I invest in this or should I launch this product? I wouldn't go ask my mother for permission. I would probably talk to her about it and be like, hey, this is what I'm thinking. I hope I can have your support, but I'm not asking permission.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. Yeah. Oh my word. That's my new favorite line. I would stop asking permission and just lean in, ladies, lean in and take charge. Cause this is how we build a bigger future, which I think now is the perfect segue for us to step into. And I'm going to have to look at my notes here to make sure I don't get this, wrong. But so you started a campaign called, it's #NoMeanGirls is the campaign. So tell us a little bit more about what was the inspiration to start that?
Yeah. Well, the founder of Plaid for Women was at a luncheon and she was saying, you know, if you're here to support other women and celebrate each other and lift each other up, this is the place for you. Otherwise, there's no mean girls allowed. And it was just like silence. It was like, did she just say that? I cannot believe she just kind of uninvited me. But we really, after that, it really took off. And women were like, you know what? I don't want to be with a group of catty women or people that are going to talk behind my back. Like, I want to be with people who accept me as I am and recognize that I'm on my own personal journey. That we don't all have to look the same and make the same decisions, but we can still celebrate and support each other. And so that's how the initial campaign got started. And I believe 2016, I think, was the first year that got started. And in 2017, we hosted our first national conference, the No Mean Girls Conference, and this year is our second one. So we're expecting about 250 women from across the nation, primarily in the Texas area, because that's where we're based.
Yeah.
But we get women from all over, and we have the No Mean Girls Conference. And so it's basically 2 days of inspiration. Our speaker this year, Kareth Foster, she's a humorist, and she's talking about you are enough and about eliminating that internal voice that holds us back. But then we also have courses. We have 6 breakout sessions so women can select personal and professional development. So we have all the way from like branding and managing your P&L to wellness and yoga and relationships, because we really believe that you're the whole woman. Like, we don't have, like you were just kind of laughing about the 9-to-5 job. Like, nobody has that anymore. Like, our lives bleed over in everything that we do. After I jump off this, I've got to go back to pick up my kids from school. Like, we don't have this like singular, like, now I'm an employee and now I'm a wife and now I'm a mother. And so we really try to embrace all of that.
I love that. I love that. Now, okay, so tell me, and this is so important, I think. Coming from Wall Street, like, I definitely experienced some very mean girls where we just don't have each other's backs, right? And I don't think a lot of women just don't get that how we get where we want to go is by being inclusive and by really supporting and helping each other to grow. And that's how you're going to go there faster. And again, I can hear we're so on the same page with just like women empowering women. So where exactly in Texas will this happen?
It's going to be in Southlake, Texas. It's right between Dallas and Fort Worth, and it's about 15 minutes from the airport, so a really central location. So we're kind of pulling together both parts of what we call the DFW Metroplex.
Very cool. That's very nice. And it's the 21st of September and the 22nd.
Yes, and our registration is at nomeangirls.com.
All right, that's easy to remember. But we will put this in the show notes for you as well, nomeangirls.com, for the conference on the 21st and the 22nd of September. This sounds really awesome. So thank you, Sarah, so much for just this wisdom that you shared with us today. Is there anything else that we didn't cover that you think maybe would be a good nugget for us to take away?
I mean, where to begin? No, when we go back to cash is queen. I think kind of being aware of your expenses. And a lot of people are scared of accounting and numbers. They're great at sales and they're great at other pieces. And so even just reaching out to someone who maybe has that expertise to set you up so you can be on the right way, and always from an educational base. I think the more you plan and the more you educate yourself around that, the more you're going to be able to grow your business. It really just gives you tons of flexibility, as well as the ability to control kind of what you're investing in versus a bank telling you what to do.
Yes. And I think that's where, like, we really have to step away from this shame of speaking about money, or the, oh my God, I'm not good with numbers, or I just don't get it, and then shutting down. I think this is really, again, the place for us to lean in and know that you're not stupid for asking questions. Like, I think something that I gave myself permission to do a couple of years ago that's really worked in my favor is, this is my second language, guys. So every now and then you'll say a word that I'm like, what the hell is that word? I don't know that word. And in the past, when I was younger, I wouldn't say that I didn't know. And I would just kind of see how you were using it in the sentence. And so I would then educate myself. But actually, I got a lot of words wrong that way, and then used them in the wrong way, and then actually looked like a bigger idiot, right? So nowadays, if you say something that I don't understand, I ask. And I mean, I've been in big sort of settings where I'll just put my hand up and go, excuse me, what is that word? I don't know it, right? And yeah, people do look at me, go, it's sort of like, the Walking Dead, like zombies all looking at me. But as a result, it's really helped me to, I build trust with people very quickly because I'm being vulnerable in that setting. But it also has helped me to improve my vocabulary. So let's flip that to you and your accounting and your knowledge of your numbers, and give yourself permission to do the same thing. There is no shame in asking questions. And in actual fact, people love it when you ask questions, because that is their opportunity to teach you something. And we all love doing that. So Sarah, thank you so much, and I'm so excited to have you, for having you here today.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, audience. We'll see you
Bye.
again next time. Thank you for listening to and watching the Savvy Business Show.